All right, looks like I got myself another little project. Not heavy equipment, but boats actually. It's a boat exhaust manifold. And so this guy's got a crack right in this area here. I don't know if that's really visible, but you know, it's broke, so I'm gonna try and fix it. I thought I'd try something new. I know there's 100 ways to fix this thing, so maybe either TIG welding it with some nickel, or brazing it, or all kinds of ways, right? So I mean, there's 101 ways to do it, and I think I'm gonna try something a little different this time. I may try actually to silicone braze it instead of use brass. Now, will it work? I don't know, but if it does, good. If it doesn't, well, I can always start over. And I was looking at the properties of the melting points of brass and silicone bronze. Brass melts at 1710 Fahrenheit, and silicone bronze melts between 1780 and 1880, which is, you know, within the range, right? What's another 100 degrees when you're doing that? Now, one of the current concerns naturally would be that I'd melt that gasket here, if there's a gasket. I don't want to take that apart. Of course, I'm going to preheat the whole thing, so hopefully it gets nice and warm and be able to focus the weld in there. But if it doesn't work, you know, I'll just TIG weld it. So all this is just a learning thing for me and for you. And you know, one of the cool things about learning is that no matter how smart you are, you know, you could always learn something different. And a machinist once told me that you know, no matter how much you think you know, there's somebody that knows something that you don't. So I've always appreciated that comment, and it kind of put me in my place at the time, because you know, sometimes you get to thinking you're a golden arm. You can you know it all. So learning from other people's input and suggestions is always good. So with that, I'll try and see where we go from here. I'm going to try and maybe use some penetrant, dye penetrant, if I still have it. I don't remember if I ran out or not, you know, just to see how far this crack goes this way, both directions. And once I start grinding it up, I should be able to see it a little bit better. So here we go. All right, so now I got this thing cleaned up. Now you can see the crack a little bit more visible. And one of the things I like to do anytime I'm welding almost anything that needs preheat is to get the paint off of it. The paint actually acts as a shield when you're trying to torch or preheat it with a rosebud. It'll, you know, of course it'll burn off the outer layer, but as it starts to glow orange, what ends up happening is very similar to like a space shuttle, where the bottom of it has got a layer of carbon and it glows. Well, that glowing is acting as a shield against the heat inputting into the parent metal itself. So if ever you're preheating something, try to get as close as you can to bare metal, and that'll help out a lot, and it'll save you a lot of time. Okay, so this is a little nick. I'm gonna try and see where this crack is headed. I don't know if it's a straight into the material thickness, because I'm thinking maybe this is the wall thickness right here, so it could go straight in. So maybe if I cut a bevel this way and leave that edge there, maybe that piece would just fall right out. Now, very similar to this, put another bevel this way and maybe it'll fall right out. I don't know. These things are always tricky. And I don't even know how thick it is. Feels to be about a little bit over 1/8 inch, maybe 5/32 thick. So I know it's fairly thin, and preheating it will be very important. I'd like to preheat the whole thing if possible, because you want it to expand all at the same rate. Don't know that it will. I'm unsure as to whether I'll end up bolting something to here, because this is not like a regular exhaust manifold that's a tube. This is a very strong structured box, so I don't foresee these things moving as far as getting out of whack. This line is right in here. I guess maybe the only thing that may happen, which I'm not sure either, is that it'll want to pull this way and affect this here. But you've got all of this structure out here holding it together, not like regular exhaust manifolds that are individual, and similar to exhaust manifolds that are individual where they tie into these pieces like in a Y or slingshot type joint. When you weld that, well, then these guys will shrink this way, but this is back here, so it should be fine. So before you guys say something about should have bolted it down, well, I'm not, and we're just gonna have to go with it. So we'll see. All right, next up. Okay, so I'm back. Got it about as clean as I can get it. And if you notice here, there were some spots that I did punch through, and I wasn't intending on doing that, but it happens, right? And one of the suggestions that a lot of folks make is to try and drill a hole at the end of the crack. Now, while that is fantastic in principle, it is very difficult to determine where exactly the end of the crack is at. So you may be drilling a hole just slightly ahead of it or to the side of it to where the crack continues past the furthest edge of that hole that you drilled. And I get the point, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I tend to not do it at all. And my reasoning is very similar to when you're welding a pipe joint or somewhere where you're tacking certain spots and have to continue the weld. You will grind and feather out those tacks so that as your weld continues on, it just blends in as if nothing happened. Whereas if you have a hole, you may have difficulties filling up the end of that hole properly. So in my case, I like to go past the end of the crack. The crack actually ended back over here, but I just kept I kept grinding way back here with this little guy. And so I will start the penetration of the filler metal, you know, as it wets in there, and it'll start on its own. Oh, start flowing on its own. And so I expect a little bit of difficulties in these spots here because that's going to be really dirty, really hard to clean out. I'll heat it up and try and clean it up with a brush to get all that carbon and junk off of the inside of that part, and hopefully it'll still wet in fine. Now this is a 1/4 inch, so I got a decent sized little bevel in there, so it should fill up pretty good. Same thing here, the crack stopped right around here, and I blended it in all the way over here. So as I'm heating it up and adding filler metal, hopefully it wets in well and starts to fill that in nicely. So I think I'm at the next point. Now I'm kind of second guessing my thoughts on whether I want to use silicone bronze or not. I don't know that it'll work. I'm gonna try it just for kicks. I almost want to take it and just be done with it, but again, this is for a friend. It's a learning experience, and so it'll be cool if it works. Learn something new. So we'll give that a shot and keep trucking and see how it turns out. All right, so I'm in the process of heating this up, and you may laugh that I got a heater. People say, why don't you use a rosebud? Well, why don't I use a heater too? Works good. What I like about using the heater, it at least gets it evenly warm, right? It's pretty hot. How hot? I don't know, but hot enough. So that's hot to the touch. So here in a second, I'll get myself all set up. Now the whole piece is hot, which is nice and even. And the opposite side is even hotter, which is good. That way it's already built up the heat in it. So now I'll shut it off. I'll start brazing. If I feel it's cooling off a little bit, just click it back on for a few minutes and start again. So pretty simple process. All right, here we go. At the next point here, and all that talk about doing with silicone bronze, and I did not have any, so we're going back to the brass. And I did not want to refilm everything. So here we are. Anyway, so I got this blue stuff here. Peterson #1 blue. Make sure to get the one with a dented can. It makes for good, easy access. I'm kidding, by the way. And so things are preheated enough. I think I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot and see if it sticks. All right. Before I get started, I wanted to mention these glasses here. I don't have any affiliation with them, but people have asked what kind of glasses I use for torch cutting. And these are actually a Uvex brand. And being as I have reading glasses, they fit over my reading glasses. So I would recommend a #5 shade, no lighter than that. It's too light. A lot of people ask about, you know, going blind from welding. And I think it's actually more so going blind from looking at the torch flames, because those little blue flames are really, really bright. And over time, it just tends to, you know, hurt your eyes. A lot of people tend to shortcut torch cutting, just in general, and say, oh, it's just this little piece I'm gonna cut. Well, how many of those little pieces are you gonna cut before you go blind, right? So I always use these. And I had another person ask about what glasses or what shade I use for plasma cutting. If there was a way to get a darker shade, possibly a #8. I know some welding helmets, auto darkening helmets, go pretty light. I don't exactly know the shades, but use one of those, because a 5 is not dark enough for plasma cutting. It's really still too bright. So #5 for torch, anything torch related. All right, here we go. looking good so far. I put the first little pass down. Seems to have stuck all right. Got a couple little pinholes that hopefully will boil out with the next one. And I was thinking about it as I was mentioning these glasses. I remember a while back I visited, I forget what. Oh, I took a shop seminar where you oxyacetylene aluminum welding, and they had blue colored or blue tinted glasses that actually get rid of all the orange in the welding. So I'm finding that there's a lot of that in brazing. So there's a better style of glass or glasses for that, if in case. I think for glass blowers, I believe, because they get a lot of orange in their flames as well. So it cuts all that out. I was really impressed. I think I took that class with Gene Winfield, one of his metal shaping classes, and we tried running beads on aluminum sheet metal. Really neat. Anyway, so if you're going to be doing a lot of brazing, try to find glasses that have a blue shade to them. It knocks out the orange. Okay, gotta keep trucking. Here we go. All right, well, I got finished up. I almost started cleaning it up before I got filming this, but I learned an awful lot of things. It's ugly, that's for one, and next part is I thought I would try and make it come out like a TIG weld, but that didn't work. It turns out I was using the wrong size tip here. It was too small, and the heat input. Anyway, those of you that do more brazing know exactly what I'm talking about. And another thing I learned was that I was using the wrong flux. The wrong flux. I should have used a brush-on type flux because I was having issues with the sides of the cast actually sticking to the edge of the brass. I didn't clean it. I didn't clean those edges good enough. I should have, but I didn't. And so, of course, it's not pretty, but it's fixed. So it should clean up nicely, you know, once you brush all that off, and then you'll see the pattern of where it filled in, which is good. But you know, like I said, it's always something learning. You're always learning something new. And you know, I've been at this for a while, and just, you know, I just don't do too much brazing. So if any of you guys got comments, which I'm sure you will, definitely let me know, because you know, we're all in it just to learn something. So I hope you guys dig it. I'll show you guys a picture after I get done with cleaning it all up, and at least we learn what not to do, right? And as I mentioned earlier, this is how I did it, not how to do it, obviously, by the looks of that. But it will work anyway. So we'll catch you guys later, and hang tight for the pick.